welcome to Women's Broadcast Television Network. We're in the Spotlight interview today with Jo Hausman. We're so excited to have her with us. She's an MBA, she's highly energetic, passionate, and a spiritual leader who's driven to help you succeed. She had her first book, Go For It. It's a women's guide to perseverance, and she obtained international bestseller status after 3 weeks of being on Amazon. That's pretty amazing. I know there's a lot of ladies out there that have books and are really excited to hear about that, because how do you do that? She also owned and operated her own virtual assistant business for 10 years. Through both her personal and work experiences, she's coached and trained others to start their businesses, increase their income, and work smarter and not harder. This way her clients can enjoy life to the fullest like she is. She travels extensively to speak to various organizations and media to talk about persevering through the tough times, which we've all had. She gives hope, encouragement, love, and support. She inspires her audiences to go for it. Nothing is too big or too small as long as you have a plan. That is the key, right, Jo? Welcome.
That is the key. That is the key, Jane.
I'm so glad you're here with us. What a great background. I know we have so much to talk about today. Tell us just a little bit, though. You've had a lot of successes, but, you know, we've all gone through those tough times. So tell us how, a little bit about you and how you got to where you are today.
Sure. Yep. We've all had our tough times for sure. So it started back, and I started in the book back when I was 11. I lost my dad at age 11. And so just learning how to grow up without a parent, although I still had my mom, and she was a wonderful example of what a mom should be. And then growing up, and then I became a single mom myself when I was 24. So I became a single mom myself. So learning all that about perseverance, just going through, just those kind of trials. But all the while, I always had a smile on my face. I thought, you know what, if this is what God's given me to live, then this is how I'm going to live. And so I don't let anything hold me back. And so even when my boy was little and he was 2.5, I live in the Midwest, but I moved out to Nevada all by myself with him in tow for a better job. And I knew once I could do that, I could do about anything. So people thought I was crazy, and they still do, and I'm okay with that. I know what I like to do. So anyway, I eventually got to Colorado, and that's where I wanted to be. And I met my wonderful husband, and we were married for 8.5 years before he passed away. And he had had a disease before I met him. And unfortunately, after we had met and married and everything, it came back out of remission, and then ultimately he passed away. So the book and just about my life is all about persevering through the hard times to get to the good times. So a lot of my speeches are going from the grief to get to the great. Because when we were married, we wanted to do real estate investments. We wanted to own our own business and those type of things. And so when we were first married and we moved back to the Midwest, I started my own virtual assistant business back in 2005.
Kind of before it was popular, right?
That was way before it was popular. Yeah. Nobody knew what a virtual, and that's the part that I love. That's a challenge that I love because nobody knew. So it was my challenge to go out and sell myself. And people, again, thought I was crazy, which is fine. But it succeeded. And I was just bound and determined that I want to stay home with my child and then ultimately care for my sick husband. He wasn't sick at the time when I started it. But it really was worthwhile because then in the end, what I do now is I teach others to become virtual assistants. I coach them to become virtual assistants. And so I take my knowledge and I give it back to others, So, and that part I really enjoy. But also after his death, my son had went off to college, and so I decided it was time for me. I decided after the grief had settled and everything else, I decided to go back and get my master's degree. And so, which I did because I'd wanted one for years. So I did that. And my goal now is to teach at a college level, even if it's just an adjunct professor or something like that. So I got that. And then I was asked to run for city council of my town. And I thought the guy who had asked me was ultimately crazy. I'm like, why would you ask me to do that? But I do it, and I love it. I absolutely love being on city council. I'm on my 5th year now. I'm on my 2nd term, which is my 5th year. And it just brings me great joy to know the public can come talk to me and we can ultimately solve issues together. I've also run for my state House of Representatives. I've opened up 2 other businesses. I've done some real estate investing, and I just decided that life is worth living. And when you lose people at a young age, you realize that life is short. And as somebody describes it as, I'm living my bucket list. And if that's the way it should be,
I love it.
So be it. But I love my life and I love what I'm doing. And so you just have to go out there, you know, through trials and tribulations. And we all can attribute to that. We could all sit back and sit, you know, not do a thing about it and just sit in the chair with our covers pulled up and not want to face the world. And I chose not to do that. I chose to go out and make a difference.
Well, you're walking your talk. I mean, that's what you say in your book. You go for it. And you're a living example of that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's always been kind of my motto, is go for it. And I say that a lot. So I figure, why not have it be the title of my book?
That's great. Yeah. And you also have a radio show, right? Tell us a little bit.
Oh, that's right, yeah. So when I decided to do my book, and right after my husband passed away, I really wanted to write this book. And it took a few years before I actually decided to, before it, as I say, came to fruition. So I started writing it in 2014. It was published in this year, as you said in my bio. And from the book, and this is how life happens, it evolves. So from the book, I was on Facebook talking to a couple of other authors. Well, a gentleman approached me on Facebook about coming to speak at his event. So, which I love to go out and speaking, so I said, sure. But I went to his website and I saw a bunch of the other speakers, and one of them had this Voice America radio show. And so her and I resonated really well together. I could just tell we were going to be a good fit. And so from there, I opened up a Voice America radio show. So now I'm on voiceamerica.com. It's actually on the Empowerment channel on Voice America. Mm-hmm. So it's, if you just do voiceamerica.com or voiceamericaempowerment.com. I'm on Tuesday mornings at 8 a.m. Central Time, which is 6 a.m. Pacific Time.
Fantastic. And it archives too. So if people can't watch it, they can come to that channel, look up your name, and find your Empowerment.
That's right. Yep, and you can also go to iTunes. I'm also on iTunes. If you just go look up my name, Jo Hausman, on iTunes, or if you go to my Voice America website page, all the past episodes are over on, if you're on the computer, they're over on the right-hand side. So I started that the middle of July. And so I'm used to interviewing people instead of being the interviewee. So this is pretty fun. Oh,
that's great. And for all you guys who, her name is spelled underneath her, so it's Jo Hausman. But for our podcast, how do you spell your name for everybody?
Well, I'm the girl version of Jo, so it's J-O, and then my last name is H-A-U-S as in Sam, M-A-N, so Jo Hausman.
Fantastic. Yeah. You know, I always forget to have people spell it because we do, you know, we tell people to repurpose their content, so we do the same thing, and we create podcasts, and I always say, you know, it's underneath. But a couple of shows in, I'm like, okay, it's not underneath for podcasts. So
that's right. That's true.
Telling these names. Oh,
that's funny.
That's awesome. So what do you teach? You said you talk to or help virtual assistants. Is that your main job besides being in the city council?
Yep, that's my main job. I coach people to become virtual assistants. And then that really is, and I always like to give back. So whatever I learn, I like to give back to others. And
that's
so I coach them.
By the way.
Yeah, exactly. And a true entrepreneur too.
True entrepreneur, true leader, yes.
And so if people go to my website, then I have coaching packages on there, and then I also offer a free 15-minute consultation. So it's just johausman.com, but they can go there and I can give them a free consultation to see if we're going to be a good fit. I've coached many people, and sometimes I'll still get clients coming to me wanting work, and I don't do much of the work anymore, so I will farm that out to my virtual assistants.
Yeah. Again, talking, you know, walking that talk, that's right?
Yep, that's right.
And so, you know, I'm really interested to talk about virtual assistants for a little bit because you know the importance of a virtual assistant. Most entrepreneurs know they need a virtual assistant. What are the key things that an entrepreneur, when hiring a virtual assistant, because there are getting more and more of those. You know, in 2005, there weren't any. I remember working in corporate in 2005 and seeing something about a virtual assistant. And I'm like, well, that's an interesting gig, you know, that entrepreneurs need those. But, you know, how do you hire the right one? Where do you start? Because I know when I first started and looked at virtual assistants, I'm like, it's going to take me longer to write everything down that I need. And so one, I guess the first question is, what are the things you look at when you need a virtual assistant?
Well, the first thing you need to look at is what's your main thing that you need to get accomplished. Because what happens is a lot of times people get so excited when they hire a virtual assistant, they want to hand off everything to them. And the reality is they can't. And where us as business owners and virtual assistants are their own business owners. So but they're going to look out for you because they want your business to exceed. So their business is going to exceed.
Right.
So you have to realize that, first of all. But secondly, you can't, unless you're going to hire them full-time on a full-time basis, you can't hand off everything to them all at once. And you're going to have to set out time each day or each week, depending on how much work you give to them, train them to what you want and train them to what you need in your business. But the first and foremost thing I always say to everybody, interview the virtual assistant to make sure they're going to be a good fit. And what I did when I first started, I took on everybody. Because I was like, I don't care. I need the money. I need the experience. But after about a year or two, I decided, you know what? I've got my main clients. I know what I need to do. I know what I'm good at and what I'm not good at. And what happened is I started partnering with graphic designers, with website designers, with those type of people. And so if that client wasn't a good fit for me, I referred them on to somebody else who I thought would be a good fit for them. And that shows respect to that client, and that shows respect also to yourself as a virtual assistant, because you're not going to go out and do them injustice. So you want them to get the best experience themselves. So the thing is, you have to figure out as a business owner, what is your main purpose for hiring a virtual assistant? Is it email control? Is it newsletter? Is it just taking over everything? With my radio show, I had posted, in something on Facebook, and I had this one virtual assistant on me. And finally, I got the gal on my radio show, her client, and now we're blooming off to another venture, but that's what it's all about. That's a sign of a good virtual assistant, because she really took the extra initiative to go after what she knew her client needed.
Yeah, and I think taking you a step back from that was so key. What you said when you were talking earlier is you have to know your strengths. What do you like to do? I mean, if you don't like to do something, put it on that VA bucket, list.
Yep.
And say, okay, that's something in the future that I'd like to hire a VA for. And if you can't handle everything, they can't handle everything. They don't even know your business. They have to learn your business, and you have to learn to talk to each other. And so I love that too. Don't just dump. Here's all my contacts. Here's my autoresponders. They're like, whoa, and you're setting.
And then they get overwhelmed.
Well, you're setting them up to fail. And so I love that. So write down your strengths, interview them, make sure you guys click with each other, and then start working slowly, piece by piece. Take your list out, because you're their, you look at it, you're their client, but they look at you as their boss.
Yeah.
So, you gotta have your stuff together too. So
yeah, and what I tell entrepreneurs is, I said, quit working in your business and start working on your business. So in your business, hire that virtual assistant to do those kind of things. So you can work on your business and you can get out there and keep marketing yourself.
Yeah, and you know what your strengths are, ladies. When you're out there and you're working, you're like, it's probably not something you like to do. So
yeah, that's right.
We're making a list, this is we don't want to be like this.
Yeah.
Be happy and keep that positive mindset. And if you're doing things you don't like to do, you're bad-mouthing yourself, your system, it does nobody any good. So,
that's right. That's right.
So with the virtual assistants that are out there, because I know we have quite a few that are watching, and how do you build your business and things like that, I want you to state your website, where they can find you and get more information. And ladies, 15-minute consultation is huge. I know when I started out, I put free consultation. My goodness, we'd get through so much within that short period of time. And so take advantage of her 15-minute consultation. I mean, that is huge. She's been there, done that. She's offering to give back. That's a way that people in leadership can give back. And so tell everybody, the people who want to start VAs, or the VAs that are struggling right now to figure out how can they grow their business, where could they find more information out about you?
Sure. It's www.johausman. So again, J-O, and then H-A-U-S as in Sam, M-A-N. So johausman.com. And then my email is just joe@johausman.com. And then, or my phone number is 605-941-7969.
Oh, that's fantastic. And you are in the United States.
I'm in the United States in the Midwest. And so what I used to do is when I'd have clients from different parts of the country, like in the morning, I would work on my East Coast clients first, and then I go to my Central clients, and then I go to my Pacific time, or Mountain or Pacific time. So that was a kind of the good thing about being right centrally located. I also had clients from out of the country, and so depending on what time zone they were in, what I would do for them. But in return, I also, at one time, I had hired 10 virtual assistants underneath me, and a couple of those were out of the country as well. So I like working internationally as well as nationally. Now, I prefer the United States. I'll just be open and honest with that. But I'm also open to international clients and virtual assistants.
Because that's what a virtual assistant is. She's virtual. So
Yep.
you can be anywhere.
Anywhere.
And
Yep.
so, and partner with other virtual assistants, because what happens I've seen is that you have strengths that the others don't.
Mm-hmm.
And if you partner, now you have a double strength and you can work on different things and still the same client. So never meet a competitor is what I always say.
That's right. That's right.
Partner with each other. Don't get jealous or catty and talk.
Mm-hmm.
Partner. And now you guys have a better business because you have both two different skill sets that maybe the other one didn't have. So that's fantastic.
And I had several clients who had several virtual assistants, and we all had our own expertise. And so we'd get on group calls, you know, every Tuesday or whatever. We had group calls, and so we all knew our expertise and what we had to do. And it, to me, that just strengthened our resolve to get everything done. And, you know, us virtual assistants could talk among each other because the bosses, the entrepreneurs would allow that, you know, and so we could get more accomplished in a short amount of time.
Oh, it's fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
So what I want to do, though, is go back to your book about perseverance, because a lot of our audience is just trying to make it.
Sure.
Either through the tough times or just, you know, they've been in business for a few years. They just need that encouragement. We're going to leave the broadcast today with a couple of things that they could do today if they're feeling stuck or they're feeling overwhelmed. What are a couple things they could do today to help lift their spirits?
You know, what I tell people is just write down one thing you want to get accomplished today, or even 3 things, but at least get one of those done. And then you're going to feel so much better about yourself and feel so much more alive. And what I also try to teach people is how to retrain your brain to think positive. So if something is going negative in your life, say this morning we woke up on the wrong side of the bed or something, you know what? Retrain that brain to say, you know what, today's a beautiful day. Today the sun is shining, you know, and just realize how enlightened you can feel when you retrain it to think of on the positive side instead of the negative side. Oh. And so that's what I tell a lot of people. And also, again, write down 3 things you want to get accomplished today. And as long as you can at least get one of those done, try to get all 3. But as long as you can get one of them done, I mean, some days it's just getting the laundry done. Some of the days it's just getting supper on the table at a certain time, you know. But if you can get that done, you feel so much more enriched in your own life and personal satisfaction. And that's, sometimes we have to start with real small. And what I tell people is if it's too hard to take a day at a time, you take an hour at a time. And if that's too hard, you take a minute at a time. But you celebrate the small accomplishments and you keep moving forward no matter what.
Oh, that's beautiful. Thank you for that piece of advice at the end. I love those nuggets. And thank you, Joe, for meeting with us today. I'm sure you're going to help a lot of people. Ladies, go out there and find Joe, johausman.com. You'll see the link below the video, but those on podcast, we've spelled it enough times. So I'm not
yeah, no kidding.
But we really appreciate you, and thank you everyone for watching the Women Broadcast Television Network Spotlight interview with Joe Hausman. I'm Jamie Rios, your host. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank you, Joe.